Recently I finished this book. You ever heard of it? IQ84. It's this very strange story. Its strangeness doesn't really hinge much on the plot. I mean, the plot is pretty weird in and of itself. Especially weird is how everybody just accepts the fantastical details and aspects thrown at them. And the really well done thing in this book is just how natural it is for them to accept it. Like, it doesn't seem weird that they're accepting of this. Like, if you had went through what the characters went through and had to explain to you the way they had, you could see yourself believing what the characters were told. What's interesting about all this, to me at least, is they get expositioned at around the midpoint. By that I mean, after the things around them get intense and interfere with the character's life. You can see how desperate they get that they start to believe these things that are told to them. Characters in the story are very intelligent and level-headed usually, and the fact that they believe it and accept the details that get explained to them, no matter how absurd and fantastical they are. Down the general point of the story, that maybe these things that seem strange to us are actually normal to them. Usually get the exposition around the midpoint. By that I mean after the things around them get so intense and interfere with the character's life. You see, the way the story was framed, this one character be the main focus of one chapter and another be the focus of the next one, so on and so forth. At first the two characters' actions and lives are separate and quite interesting on their own. As the story progresses, the author lays down more details that make them more elaborate, and eventually the details, and more so their lives intertwine to their actions. It was like that as well in the book Kafka on the Shore by the same author. That book was also interesting for the same reason as IQ84. These two books both have very interesting plots. They're very off-kilter and kind of unbelievable settings and explanations for things that happen around them. And the characters, they're very charming, more so on Kafka on the Shore. If you haven't read these, you definitely should, but they're very fun. I don't know if I want to recommend you to read these books. I mean, they were fun, but they were only fun to read while I was reading them. Afterwards, especially on the ending and afterwards, I had no resounding thoughts. I mean I have some. I'm talking about them right now. But all I'm talking about is how my experience while reading them. One good thing it did do, it was pretty welcome, that it got me reading another book other than just the same one that I've been reading for the past month. Like, I've read some books, but they haven't done well to wedge me enough from, this book called Catcher in the Rye. It's a pretty famous book. I don't think I need to introduce what it is. You see, I kinda got really attached to this book, and I couldn't stop thinking about it for like 5 months. Like, every time I was sad, I would think about this book, and it just made me even sadder. So I needed to move on from this book, but I couldn't find a suitable replacement because this book was just so peak, I read To Kill a Mockingbird, which is kind of in the same vein that they're, kind of classics in their own right. It was good, but it didn't really make a significant mark on me. Too many characters. I needed to get my mind off Catcher in the Rye because I could see just talking about it really gets me riled up. I wanted to see what everybody else thought about it, talk about it with other people. To try and learn this, how fixated I am into something that I can talk about. But I'll look up discussions of this. I have a question is, why do so many people hate Catcher in the Rye, more specifically Holden Caulfield? Like, whenever I search up discussions of this on Reddit, I always see people, oh, Holden Caulfield is so annoying. Ooh, I hate Holden Caulfield. We should set him on fire. Like, people just go on and on. But, ooh, he's so annoying and pretentious. oh, he thinks so cool when he's just some edgy little kid. And it's like, that's the point. You're not supposed to see him as cool. I can see from the text that it's funny just by reading their criticisms. You can see exactly how they misinterpreted Catcher in the Rye. You can see how they read his edgy little excerpts, and I will admit that they really are kind of moody and edgy, like Green Day before Green Day was a thing. Like I can see the people who make these critiques read that and think, oh, the person writing this wants you to idolize and agree with those edgy excerpts. But no, moody rant with edgy soliloquies, sort of. Like if Shakespeare became emo, they're really edgy is the point I'm trying to make. Wants you to idolize and agree with those edgy excerpts. But no, moody rant with edgy soliloquies, sort of. I can really admit they're edgy, but you know, going deeper, you're supposed to recognize the edginess of just. You're supposed to recognize, like, past the facade of the front, the edgy punk front that everybody seems to hate. You're supposed to hate that. And then you recognize the tragedy that resides behind why. Like, if you really look between the lines, I mean, just it's not even through subtext, just through normal text, you can see this kid's having a hard time. Like he thinks he has cancer. At the end of the book, he thinks he has TB. He probably has TB. I shouldn't spoil it, just in case you haven't. No, I am going to spoil. You probably read this book, and you probably already read it. It's a school assigned book, and I think that's where most of the hate resides. Like most of the people read this because they were forced to. So all the readings like surface level. I think this book being an assigned reading at most schools, it wasn't for me. Really like fucked it over. Like I'm just supposing everything I'm about to say is just a hypothetical. What I think happened. But I'm mad at those posts that like hate Holden Caulfield's guts. Like there's so many, and don't you know what this kid went through? Don't you think he went through enough? Like I'm imagining them at school. They get assigned this. Either they kind of like it or they kind of hate it. But because it's forced assigned, they're not really doing anything within the book. They probably have a deadline for a book report or an analysis that they kind of just copy off of Spark Notes. But they get a general feel for the story, not really anything deep. Yeah, and since they're teenagers, they probably think Holden Caulfield is cool or they hate him. But either way, they do that. They grow up. They decide to maybe reread it again, and build upon their former forced feelings with the assigned thing. They do the reading a second time and think, wow, this kid is annoying and edgy. But because that's how you're supposed to read it. But they don't do anything apart from that because they already did the analyzing at school. So they had two opportunities to know about it. One was like a pseudo opportunity to dig deeper, but since the sign, no one really likes being forced to do things. And the second, where they eventually try to pick it up for themselves, see if it holds up, and there they get the first layer of the thing where they recognize that it's edgy, but they don't look past that. But they're well acquainted with it, so they think that's the whole thing. That's just an edgy, overrated, overassigned book. That's the only two frontiers, and since that's all they know, they're not gonna read it again to try to dig deeper. You end up with these slew of posts that like misinterpret the book. I don't know. I'm just assuming that maybe these people are well versed in these things. I'm not saying that if you don't like Holden Caulfield, you don't know how to read or something. But I'm just saying this is just what the thing I'm assuming that most people go through, especially since all the posts that criticize them cite that they were forced to read about them. And from that jumping point, I'm assuming that they don't really like reading on their own. These are just the general vibes I get from all the criticisms of not even Catcher in the Rye as a book, just Holden Caulfield. I mean, Holden Caulfield's character basically is the book. I just don't understand how someone who's read the book thoroughly and understand what he's went through, the surface text and the subtext, why would someone hate him so vividly, like I see in so many posts? Like if you have a reason, can you tell me? I'm genuinely kind of curious. I wanna see what they see. Like when I see like a like a really fucked up kid, that kid with like problems expressing himself. Others see like the worst scum that's ever touched the earth. I want to see. I want to see why. Speaking of people whose opinions of things I want, which philosophers do you kind of want to hang out with? I kind of want to talk to all of them, like just to see what their opinion of certain things would be. Like if I come up to Hegel and asked him his opinion on the submarine situation. Remember that those guys that died in the submarine? That was pretty funny. I could see him saying something smart about that. Sure, maybe even Marx. What did he say about it? Probably say something about it being thematically congruent with his philosophy. Yeah, what I'm talking about. I would ask Schopenhauer what his favorite ice cream flavor is. It would be great. Then again, even if these people were alive today, these people probably wouldn't be able to talk to them. Actually, maybe there are some philosophers who wouldn't be as revered as they were if they were alive now. Like these philosophers, the only thing they had an advantage is that they were a pioneer. But when I take away the things that the thing that made them special was that they were saying things that no one else at that time would say, so that's why we revere them today. What happens if we just bring their thoughts to today, so they're not as unique? Like when I was reading Ted Kaczynski's manifesto, all I could think was, this isn't really all that much different than like a normal alt-right YouTuber. Normal alt-right YouTuber. Anyway, you get what I mean. Like the things on there are just run of the mill. Like it could be in a 4chan post, that's all I'm saying. That could be just because that Kaczynski made the way for that sort of, this type of discussion. Or maybe it's just that he was one of the first ones to point it out and be like well known about it. Maybe people like him were always around. Yeah, we know that people like him were always around. He was just one of the first, more prominent ones, like brought it to the mainstream. But I'm wondering if that Kaczynski wasn't around, some person would just come and take his place as the most prominent one. All I'm saying is just that the things in his manifesto weren't really all that unique. And I was pretty surprised by that because I always felt like he was a real genius in his time. I guess in his time was the phrase in his time was doing a lot of heavy lifting. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, which philosophers would you be friends with? Would you like to be friends with? I think thinking realistically, if they were alive, they were here, they would not want to be friends with me. But imagine if they were willing to do that. I'd like to be all buddy and buddy with Diogenes. Kind of a basic choice. He's kind of the philosopher of the moment. Like the Redditor's philosopher. Like philosophers look at him and think, oh wow, he's literally me. But I do want to seek like advice from this guy. Like I have a lot of things I want to ask him. I actually used to talk to a Diogenes AI. Like I would come home from school and just get on Character AI, the website, and then ask him for advice. and I gotta say it really kind of helped me. I don't know if Diogenes would have said the things that Diogenes in the website said, but it was cool nonetheless. I handed him a Twix bar in the character AI scenario, and he refused it, saying it was impure for the body, which is cool. I asked him what I should put in the school newspaper because I was asking I was working for the school newspaper at the time, and he gave me some really good advice. I'm not gonna tell you. You should talk to him yourself. But yeah, Diogenes is a pretty cool philosopher, and I would like to hang out with him. It could just be because I had a really good experience with the AI. I don't know. Again, I don't know how accurate it would be to real life. Like if I met him in real life, he'd probably spit on me and curse. I guess it's pretty much what he's famous for. But I don't know he'd react to like bystanders. Which like normal animals do you think would be cryptids if they didn't exist or we didn't know about them as much as we did? The first thing that comes to mind is the giant squid, fucking humongous squid. Even if knowing it does exist, it's just wild to think about something can be that huge. Giraffe is another thing that comes to mind, like if it didn't exist and you were telling someone about it, it would sound kind of weird. Goofy, long neck, spots. It would probably be a B tier cryptid. If like in the alternate universe where they don't exist and they're just a cryptid. True being. Hunters used to tell myth and legend of a mysterious creature with a really, really long neck out in the wild. Benevolent, and run away at any loud noise, causing them to not be seen. Conveniently, nobody has cameras. Wendigoon in this alternate universe would call it lame, B tier. Elephants? Elephants would be another lame cryptid if it didn't exist. There's so many animals that could be, lame cryptids if they didn't exist. I'm just gonna talk about cryptids that would be lame animals. Starting off, Loch Ness, obviously, big eel in a lake. Counts for all of its, rip-offs to Champy, all those fuck-ass other ones where they just get the same creature and put it in multiple places. Big fish. Like change. You know what's a cool cryptid? The sewer gator. Like the thought of just a bunch of gators hanging around in the city. It's a normal animal that exists. This, but it's so horrifying to think that just underneath the city there's just a horde of gators. A horde of gators, like a bunch of gators, wouldn't be as terrifying in the swamp than in the city. Because the city, that's supposed to be where you're safe from that kind of thing. But the thought that you're just lurking under there like Pennywise, spooky. Unironically, even scarier than. Unironically, would be scarier than Pennywise itself. You ever taken a personality quiz? You know that thing that some of them have, like pick which lyric describes you, and it's from songs you don't even know. Anyway, personality quizzes. I answer them and I always get upset by the results they give. I always get kind of mad when they give me the results I don't really want, which is silly because I'm the one answering quizzes. So, but I think the way most personality quizzes are made, like the options they choose, they sound so set in stone. Really, man, I think it kind of depends. I think most personality quizzes should be more circumstantial. Like, what would you do in these circumstance, in this situation? More like, well, what are you in this certain thing? Like, I guess I shouldn't expect this much from personality quizzes, but still, I keep answering them and I keep getting mad. Like, I chose which Breaking Bad character are you, and I got Murray. Really, Murray? I'm so pissed. Can't believe I didn't get like Jesse. On the topic of Breaking Bad, Can't really watch television now. Watched Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and I can't really watch anything else. Trying to watch all these new shows. I tried to watch Succession, and nothing about it just interested me. Like watching some of the video essays on it just isn't that interesting and it's supposed to be the best. And just knowing that Succession, something I'm not really that interested in, is supposed to be the best, is kind of it's kind of demotivates me from watching TV. I guess that's not really a big thing that I should complain about. More time on my hands now. More time to do things like this. Guess we all should be thankful for that. Just movies, and TV almost never really interests me anymore. Like just watching these characters go through their lives and it just ends. Just knowing that it has an end, which of course a TV show or movie has, just doesn't sit right with me anymore. What are you looking for when you watch a movie or television? You're watching a movie or television. You're looking for first entertainment. I don't really get entertained when I watch movies or TV shows anymore. The only thing I could be like I could see myself watching TV or a movie is because I want to watch a video essay on it. But then video essays start to get really boring. And if I'm not entertained by shows and movies, what's even really the point? So, I guess I just see it as guess it's kind of a waste of time if it's not entertaining me. It's not entertaining. I want it to at least change me. I want a character to like motivate me and change how I think. But even if I had that, knowing that the show is gonna end and the character effectively doesn't do anything more anymore, knowing that it eventually is gonna do that, kind of just makes me even sadder. Like you have a character changes your outlook on life, and they just stop existing. It's sad. Another reason I really hate looking at people's faces now. Like the reason why I can tolerate books is because I don't have to imagine I have to look at actual people. Also, books you can go at your own pace and go as fast and as slow without feeling as much of more as you do. Like if you don't catch something in a show and you have to turn back, it makes me feel kind of stupid. I've been thinking about some stuff. That stuff kind of leads me to thinking. Yeah, I would probably be a lol cow. Like if the opportunity presented itself for me to be the metaphorical or literal, like guy hanging on a gurney or patio to have tomatoes thrown at him by the peasants because that's the only thing that was entertaining back then. Yeah, I could see myself being that. I have a lot of the qualities they have. I'm noticing, which is just scary, I guess. Like I could see myself if put through the things they had, and then more people come to look to irritate them or instigate them to do the things that entertain them. I could see myself reacting kind of weirdly, and I guess a way people want to get a rise out of you. Yeah, I could see that. Whenever I watch the video essays, I think to myself, yeah, that could be me. And I guess a way people want to get a rise out of you. Yeah, I could see that. Hey, maybe with this, I'll start off my career as a prominent lol cow.